The main thing I noticed was an absence of Vishrant. But the mind was still there, the personality was still there, but the identification was gone. And also all the problems were gone. I no longer gave much of a fuck about anything. So you contacted me, or
Mm-hmm.
my people at least, because you want to have another chat. Is there
Yeah.
anything in particular besides the wall behind you and the buildings that you want to chat about?
Honestly, I didn't have a lot of topic specific in mind,
Mm.
other than you've been on my heart a lot recently.
Ah,
And we've had two calls before.
yep,
Every call has had a substantial impact.
yep.
Specifically, the last call we did maybe 2 weeks ago now, a week ago, sometime, whenever it was.
Be longer than that. Is it only 2 weeks ago? God, time flies. Yeah,
Um,
well, what you've come in touch with isn't just someone with knowledge. You've come into someone with who has a what's called a Buddha field or a field of energy around them that changes you.
mhm.
And I was lucky enough to come into that field of energy in, I think it was 1984 or 85 around Osho. And it changed me for, for the better, for the better.
Maybe once it all became better.
uh, it just changed my direction in life to a large degree because I was very business orientated, very
Hmm.
success orientated, and I turned to being more heart orientated.
Hmm.
And that was a pretty big change for me.
As you were going through that change and that transitionary period, especially near the end, as you were getting closer and closer to enlightenment, was there any ever thought or worry about financially providing for your family or how that was going to look or go
Yes, because
down
I
that?
didn't know, I did not know if I'd survive. So I took out a massive life insurance policy because I did want to financially take care of my family. And at that stage, I wasn't that financial. Um, so I took out a life insurance policy, a big one, just in
Hmm.
case.
And after you moved into enlightenment, was there any ever, I guess, like if you were talking to me now from the experience that you've been through as someone who's moving towards that and preparing for that, is it just ego that worries about that, or is there practicality in preparing for it, or is it just silly thoughts? Does that
The
make
only
sense?
the only obstacle is the ego. There isn't another obstacle. It's the ego's belief systems and what they cause in you when the expectation on them's not met. And so you have a belief system that comes into play, like, say, for instance, sake, I shouldn't be abandoned, or I shouldn't be rejected, or I shouldn't be cheated on, something like that. And you go into contraction, well, that won't support enlightenment because a contracted mind does not support enlightenment. It
Hmm.
doesn't support heart either. And so the process for me was undoing all these little belief systems that would have caused contraction in me if the expectation on them wasn't met.
Hmm.
And that was a big job.
So, like, for example, as a person preparing for enlightenment, any thought or worry around if I'm going to be able to be a great partner or husband or dad or financially provide.
Yeah, you
Would
can't
that be
afford to
something
think
like
that,
that?
because the attachment to that idea will keep you locked in ego-based reality. You've got to be
Mm-hmm.
in free fall, which means you can't actually hang on to anything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't abandon my family because part of my makeup, my mind's makeup, was that of a man. And men, in my understanding, don't abandon their families.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had all that manly stuff in place when enlightenment occurred, and that stayed. It didn't go away. And so I stayed with my wife for another 15 years, I think,
Mm-hmm.
something like that, or 16 years, until she decided she wanted to go with someone else, which was okay for me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I moved on as well. And my kids came to live with me, which was great.
After enlightenment, did you immediately move into doing satsang, or did you have years where you were just sitting and being present? What did those years look like after?
Okay. So my business failed after I woke up. My business was psychotherapy and naturopathy, because people would come and sit to talk to me, and I'd just stare at them and I wouldn't say anything, and they got spooked. And because I was just in the early stages of enlightenment and I didn't really know how to handle it, and I didn't have a teacher who was available to talk me through it. And so it was a bit weird. I lost my client base in the first 2 months of doing business, because I would just sit there and stare at them. And because of I had a field of energy, it would blow their mind, and I'd ask them, why are you here? And they wouldn't know. What are you doing here? And they'd say, I don't know. And so it didn't work. So I started doing, I had a little bit of savings, which was good, because I was actually going to go up to Rishikesh and sit with the enlightened ones up there, the Mona teachers, the ones who are in silence. But I was able to use that money during the period after my enlightenment to take care of my family instead of going up to Rishikesh and pay all the bills, which was very handy. So we didn't go into any form of sufferance, even though my business collapsed. But then I think the first group I ran was a self-inquiry group, and
Mm-hmm.
people were so taken by that group that I then started holding satsang after that. First of all, just on a Friday night or something like that. And then eventually, I think I was doing 10 satsangs a week.
Mm.
And people would come, and in the early days, they'd just donate until we put a figure on it. And the reason we put a figure on it was because we found that the poor people were paying and the rich people weren't, and
That was honest.
it was causing problems. And so I put a figure on attending satsang, an entry fee. But it was wonderful. It was wonderful because people would come, they'd feel the presence, they'd start to relax into it, and basically I was on my way as an enlightened teacher teaching truth.
Mm-hmm. And did you find that just formed around you?
Yes, yes, it just formed around me. Different people got involved because they were interested.
Mm-hmm.
At one stage, I think I had about 60 people coming to my meetings every day. But I weeded a lot of them out because a lot of them weren't seekers, they were just curiosity. And I weeded them out, and I became rather uh, blunt, and that weeded out the seekers from the non-seekers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm rather blunt nowadays. Well, I like to call it real, but other people call it blunt. Um, because I prefer being, I don't like the smells and bells of enlightenment. I don't like holy. I like
Mm-hmm.
reality. I love reality. and I've kept away from the smells and bells completely.
When
As
you
a
were,
Western teacher, I could see that I'd taken on something Indian, but I didn't want to be involved in the Indian side of it. I didn't want to be involved in the bhajans and the incense and the holier than thou crap that goes on. I just wanted to be involved in reality.
Mhm. When somebody is at, let's say, nearing or getting close to enlightenment, does it start to feel like an oscillation between the two at the end? When your experience, did it feel like it was almost like you were riding a wave? Does that make any sense? Like getting
In a
close to
way, but
back and getting close
my
to coming back.
enlightenment was a result of being in the presence of my teachers who were awake and who had a Buddha field. And I found that towards the end, when I was sitting with them or when I was talking to them, because I used to host them, I find myself as beingness. But when they went away, I'd find that I'd gone back to ego-based reality where I was a somebody again. This after one retreat, the whole retreat, I'd found myself as beingness. And when the teacher went away, it never stopped. And that was 27 years ago.
Hmm.
And the main thing I noticed was an absence of Vishrant.
Mm-hmm.
But the mind was still there, the personality was still there, but the identification was gone. And
Mm-hmm.
also all the problems were gone. Um, I no longer gave much of a fuck about anything. But I did take care of my wife and I did take care of my children. They were not abandoned.
Hmm.
So my wife did come to me about 2 weeks after awakening and she said, "My husband's gone, hasn't he?" And I said, "Yeah, he's not here anymore."
Hmm.
But the mind was still here, the personality was still here, but the identified I was not here any longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was blissed out. You seem like a relatively pragmatic sort of guy. I'm an
Mm-hmm.
absolutely pragmatic person. I, unless it's been my experience, as far as I'm concerned, it's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I'm not interested in ideologies. I'm not interested in philosophies. I'm just interested in what works, what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. When you look at people that you're teaching, do you see, because you often talk about an ego-based reality versus enlightenment as if it's like a binary, it's either or, which I also understand and see, but in ego-based, is there a progression and spectrum of consciousness progression? Or is it, do you see it truly as zero sum, one or the other? Does that make sense?
No, there's definitely a consciousness progression because when the ego is out of the way, the chance of consciousness rising more and more and more in a human being is very high because what keeps the consciousness relatively low is the ego and its little story of itself. But
Mm-hmm.
when that little story disappears, which it does in enlightenment, the chances of consciousness rising is very high. And so I'd say my consciousness levels now are through the roof compared to what they were like when I first woke up.
Mm.
I can see the energies taking you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the shot. That's the correct use of what I am. Let the energy take you. It's a doorway into your own true nature. A lot of people get rather egotistical about this point and say, no, I want to do it by myself. Well, that's like being lost in the jungle and wanting to get out by yourself. It's a bit crazy. I've had teachers my whole adult life. Up until I woke up, I had teachers, and I loved having teachers. I loved listening to them. I loved putting into practice what they were teaching me. You could say I was devotional because I was, but that was because they were so far ahead of me. And I could feel it. I just knew it. And I was interested in success in higher consciousness. And so I latched on to the ones that had been successful.
And it's what my whole life has been centered around the last 3 years.
Well, I did the same in business. I latched on to the successful ones, made them my friends, had them show me the way.
Yeah. Once I saw the progression of my suffering moving out, I also had a pretty spontaneous understanding that the only reason that we're here is to raise our consciousness.
I
I
think
shouldn't
so.
say the only reason we're here, but it's the only thing that seemed worth doing to me here.
I think so too. I think so also. Lower consciousness really does suck. It's where everyone suffers.
And I also saw that the only way that the earth, that us as brothers and sisters will progress is through consciousness and higher consciousness.
Agreed.
Because really everything that's unsupportive in the world simply stems from lower consciousness.
Agreed. Totally agreed. So it's an uphill battle, mate. My job is to try to create more lights so more people can see. That's actually why we're having this conversation. Because that's my intention.
Mine too. I feel so much love for people. And to me, it really does. Like, I just know so deeply in my heart that the interconnection of all of us here and the family that we are on Earth is so real and profound to me.
Yep. On the same page.
And I tried, similar to you, so hard to fix everything externally, and it's so futile. And I
Oh,
just,
yeah.
yeah.
You know, since I was a teenager, I haven't suffered a great deal. That was because I removed victim oriented thinking completely out of my life, and I removed worry out of my life. When I was 19, I just refused to honor them.
Same.
And that's the cause of most suffering of human beings, victim oriented thinking and worry.
Yeah. When I was 20, I dropped out of university to go start my first business. And I very much just said fuck you to anybody who told me that I couldn't do something. And in a way,
We are on the same page,
yeah.
man.
And it was perfect for me because anybody who told me that I couldn't, I would just say you're not going to be in my life anymore because I only believe that I can. And to a degree, I did. I did do all of the things.
On the back of my business card, when I turned 24, I started a publishing company. Read, anything the mind of man can conceive and believe he can achieve. That was my motto. That's what
Yeah.
I lived by.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was impossible that if I could see something in my head that it couldn't be real. And I would say to people all the time, somebody had to think about the skyscrapers, somebody had to imagine the bridges. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Kant lives on Won't Street. These are things I learned when I was 19. It's like they changed my life. How to be successful in the material world was what I was going for when I was 19. I didn't take up the spiritual quest until I was actually 28. So another 9 years later. And I got into personal growth in a big way. I loved it. I did groups every weekend, whether they were business motivation seminars or something like how to something that was being created by How to Win Friends and Influence People, or by Carl Danecki, or something like that. I'd be involved in something every weekend that I could because I
Mhm.
just loved it. It was just so
Mhm.
good.
Yeah. It's interesting too because I think those aspects that I learned in business helped me so much in raising my consciousness because the same devotion and discipline I had in business, once I
Yep.
got into consciousness work, the exact same devotion and discipline was there also. It was such a natural segue for me.
Progression, yeah. I had to learn to die. And fortunately, I had a lot of sports that I was doing that allowed me to do that. One of them was diving, which taught me how to dive because I dived with sharks. And if I was getting in the water and I was frightened of the sharks, I wouldn't get in the water. So before I got in the water, I allowed the shark, in my mind, I allowed the sharks to eat me. And so I was actually, didn't know it, but I was preparing myself for death. And I did martial arts for 14 years. And anytime I went into a fight, I became willing to die. And this whole understanding of willingness to die prepares the mind for unconditional surrender, which is actually required for enlightenment.
Hmm.
The mind has to surrender itself unconditionally to truth.
Would you counsel someone preparing for enlightenment to remove responsibilities and things that they're involved with in life?
Depends what those responsibilities were. If they were taking care of children or taking care of a wife, definitely not, because that's so unmanly, it's not funny. But if they were maybe moving out of a business that was actually tying them down and keeping them stressed out, definitely.
Yeah. I'm asking in my context because I have so many things going on between business and partnerships and consulting. It feels like way too much when I also look at being centered in enlightenment as a goal.
Simplify it then and get someone else to do some of the work. That's what I did. I actually
Mm-hmm.
replaced myself. I think success in business is doing nothing. And the only way you can do nothing in business is to replace yourself. And so I started replacing myself on the first day I opened my company.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was one of the highest paid salesmen in Australia back when I was 24 for selling advertising space. And I never, ever sold advertising space again once I started my own company. I gave all of the leads and everything to other people. I replaced myself right from word go
Mm-hmm.
because then I just traveled the world having fun and doing groups in America and Europe because I didn't have to be in my office. I had replaced myself. And so my advice is get someone else to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a few people. I don't know. But take the burden off yourself so you've got more free time for you.
Mm-hmm. Our life timelines crack me up how similar they are. Just in the little things. Because my first sales job was selling advertisement, and my spiritual path started at the same age that yours did.
Hmm. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed selling advertising space until I didn't. You know, I used to, one of the jobs I did was selling advertising space for the Air Force Association in their magazine. And I used to get a 1914 pilot's hat and put it on when I was on the phone selling the space just to get into character.
Hmm.
Then again, there was easy, very easy ones like the Waterside Workers Union. You'd ring people up and say, I'm ringing up and representing the Waterside Workers Union, and we've got our journal that we're putting out. We'd like some help with it. And they'd be only too happy to help because they didn't want to strike. that was a that was a very easy sell. If you think you can, mate. If you think you can't, you won't. It's that simple. Whatever you want to do, you can do. I do advise everybody to take care of their families, though. I think that abandoning a family is just a tragedy.
Yeah, the only thing that feels important to my heart right now is to move into enlightenment and take care of my family and take care of people.
Hmm. Well, you probably need someone to support you with that too, because it's very difficult to do if you don't have the support.
Hmm.
And so your wife needs to be on the same page as you when it comes to what you really want.
Hmm.
And she could be talked around because if she doesn't support you, it's going to be hard.
Hmm.
I was very fortunate in that once my wife grasped what had actually happened to me, she was willing to support it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
But
think her.
it did change our lives a fair bit because all of a sudden I had a lot of people around me.
Hmm. Yeah, she's been on the path with me and
Oh,
is super
good.
supportive. I think her last worries reside in just making sure that organization and finances and life structure and everything will be set up so that there's not worry there.
That's not a bad idea. I didn't know how successful I was going to be at Satsang. I just happened to be. I got the people coming and made enough money to pay all the bills and mortgages and whatever else. Um, but that took a little bit of time. But it's the Buddha field that attracts people more
Mm-hmm.
so than the words, because they come back for the Buddha field, not for the words.
Mm-hmm. As I've progressed in consciousness the last 2 years, we've started to see that happen in our world and in our circle and around us.
Mm.
Um, because we created a community where I just started talking about everything I was understanding with my consciousness journey and unfolding.
Yep.
And we didn't do any advertising or marketing or anything for it. It just filled itself.
Yep. Same. Word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Nowadays, we do a bit of advertising, though, particularly for retreats,
Mm-hmm.
because we are trying to get the Dharma out, about spreading the light throughout the world. Well, we put out a video or a posting last Saturday, and that's had 345,000 views.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that means I'm getting the Dharma out there. And
Mm-hmm.
I am so happy that this is happening. It's not about making money, it's about being a light so others can see.
Yeah. What is the Buddha quote? Rare is it to have heard of enlightenment, rare is it still to pursue it, especially in
So,
the West. Isn't there a quote from, maybe it's not the Buddha, but I'm pretty sure it's the Buddha that says, rare is it to hear of enlightenment, rare is it to pursue it.
yes, it's true. And the majority of the West won't understand what the hell you're into
Mm-hmm.
because it's not part of our religion, because our main religion in the West is Christianity. And boy, this blows Christianity out of the out of the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It would be very, very difficult for me to say I'm Christian.
I actually grew up Mormon and knocked on doors for 2 years as a missionary,
Oh, well
spreading the
done.
good word.
Well done. Yeah, spreading the light, mate.
Yeah.
That's a tough call.
Mm-hmm. How do you understand karma in someone's spiritual path of consciousness?
Well, Jesus put it this way: do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. He didn't tell you the reason for that, but the reason is karma. Whatever you do in this world will come back to you. And so my understanding of karma is I see it energetically. Whatever I do in the world comes back. And so the best thing to do is serve hard, because then you've got nothing but love coming back.
Mm-hmm. Do
To
you
me, karma is
understand?
real. It's not an idea, it's reality.
In a lot of Eastern religions, they talk about karmic undoing or people having karma to be undone. How do you understand that concept?
Well, that's happening right now between you and me. The Buddha field that I'm putting out is undoing you, and
Mm-hmm.
your karma must be good enough to be receiving that. And that happened to me with my awake teachers, which meant my karma must have been good enough for that to happen to me. But it's not good enough for everybody, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you put into life, you're going to get back. And there's only one sin on this planet, and that's selfishness. There are no other sins. Selfishness covers it all.
Mm-hmm.
And as you become more selfless, you become more beautiful. See, I think that Jesus was a heart teacher. I think that
Mm-hmm.
he was teaching the way of the heart. And so I still hold Jesus in my heart because I think he was a heart teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't stand the church.
My wife was a Bible major in college,
Oh,
and when I first started going down my consciousness journey and started meditating, she was very nervous that it was anti the church and anti religion.
yeah.
And then she started to see change and she saw me
Yep.
becoming calm and present. And then
Yep.
when we started to wake up together and we reread the scriptures, we had the same understanding that everything
Mm.
was about heart and love. Love God and love your neighbor.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus got it right. The church has got it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I see Jesus as a heart teacher, and I see that I'm a heart teacher because I don't think there's anything else besides higher consciousness worth teaching. And part of higher consciousness is love.
Mm-hmm.
Love thy neighbor as thyself. Do
Mm-hmm.
unto others as you'd have others do unto you. Beautiful. Mm.
I found the tricky part sometimes is when people haven't learned to love themselves yet.
Not many people do because they actually hold themselves in contempt. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that high consciousness begins with self acceptance. And
Mm-hmm.
if you have full self-acceptance, you can love yourself. But if you don't have full self-acceptance, if you're holding parts of yourself in contempt, it's difficult to love yourself.
Yeah, it's like you're hiding from yourself.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
beating yourself up at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I talk about guilt a fair bit. That's something that's absolute bullshit. You should never feel guilty. You should hold yourself in love.
Mm-hmm.
I don't teach forgiveness, though, that and Jesus did. The reason I don't is because for me to forgive you, I have to be a victim of you. I have to be blaming you somewhere. And I don't support victim oriented thinking at all, and haven't done since I was 19. Because I think that's how people hurt themselves, to become victims of this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so forgiveness is out of the question for me. What I'll do is if you piss me off, I'll forget.
When's the last time you got pissed off, Vishrant?
Theatre would have been yesterday. But my pissed offness is it doesn't have anger behind it. It's there's still an openness in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think that unless you actually are prepared to be strong with people, sometimes nothing changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with children. You know, you need to be able to put in consequences to their negative behavior. Otherwise, they grow up and eventually, at the age of 16, get arrested by the police because they were never taught what was right and wrong.
Mm-hmm. Does your heart ache for people anymore? Or is it always open?
I love you to bits, man. Can't help it. That's the thing. It's like I just love everybody, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I love them all
Mm-hmm.
because my experience is that everything is love, even Tirtha. He's sitting down here. That didn't come through understanding. That was a wham bam, thank you, ma'am experience because of enlightenment. I just
Mm-hmm.
started loving everybody because the I wasn't in the way anymore. That would have stopped it. The I that measures everything wasn't in the way anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that was cool.
Yeah. I've also come to understand that all the things that we wouldn't, it's easy to love when you see that anything that anybody's doing is also a part of yourself.
That's true. Also, if I was programmed like that, I'd be doing that too. You
Uh-huh.
see, you and I were programmed in a way for success. A lot of people weren't, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and uh, but for the grace of God, there goes I. If I was programmed the same as that person who's losing, I'd be
Mm.
like that too. And
Yeah.
so I don't have judgments about people being bad or good or anything. It's they're all just people, and it's all okay.
Yeah.
The whole idea of right, wrong, good, and bad keeps you stuck in ego. I don't see anything as right, wrong, good, or bad, really. I just see it as this is what is, and I
Yeah.
deal with it. This is what is. But I'll tell you, because you don't know me, you get on the wrong side of me and you'll know. I'm effective in the material world.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I love you doesn't mean I won't tell you what I think's going on.
Sometimes that's the most loving thing to do, I've found.
I think so too, but not everyone approves of it. I can tell you right now.
Oh man, that is true.
Mm. You start telling the truth, you'll upset so many people, it's not funny.
Mm-hmm.
People don't want to hear the truth coming out of your mouth. They want to hear their convenient bullshit stories coming out of your mouth. They don't want to hear the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start telling the truth, you put a target on your back and a target on your chest. Because the tall poppy syndrome exists just as much in higher consciousness as it does in the material world.
Hmm.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about, Bryan?
No.
You had enough?
I can spend time with you all day.
Mm.
Thank you for doing this call with me.
Yeah. I don't do these calls for money. The money goes to the Buddhist Society, which is the vehicle that helps me spread the Dharma. But the money is very welcome because without the money, I can't pay my staff.
Mm-hmm.
And I have quite a few staff nowadays. It's one of the reasons we're getting so much views out in the material world. We're really putting it out there. And I'm so happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
Spreading the Dharma, getting the word out, creating a light so others may see.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. And my conversation with you is for that purpose also. I don't have another reason.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will see you on Satsang soon.
You'd be very welcome in Satsang. Come and play.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for Satsang.